Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and today we have the 2013 Infiniti M35h. This is your M-Class hybrid, and we're going to give you our real first impressions on this vehicle, so join us. Alright, so this Real First Impressions is a little different. We call it the Real First Impressions Video 2.0. That's because I'm on camera now. So, what we want to tell you is from the front, the things that we notice about this car when we first walked up to it. Of course, you've got a very stately grille here. It really captures the attention, and you have the chrome that really gives it that luxury touch. You can also notice the swoop in the hood here and the curves in the fenders that give you that sporty impression that Infiniti's known for. The FX37 we looked at had that same kind of top fender look. The other thing that we want to point out is this has the adaptive headlights, and so they move with you when you drive on the road, and they help light around corners, which is really nice. Of course, you have your fog lights, and the car's not too aggressive, but it definitely has that sports flair to it. Then you move around the side here, and you notice that you have 18-inch alloy rims. It is a hybrid, so they are trying to keep with your economy and your low drag coefficient down the rims, so you're not going to see the 20-inch rims on this vehicle that you might see on other cars. You're also going to notice that you have the hybrid badging back here on the fender. And then as you move down the vehicle, you can see the sculpting that really comes with this car. And it's not overdone, it's not too aggressive, but it definitely has that fluid motion. You can see this line in the belt line that comes all the way into the taillights and then wraps around the back. And we'll move around the back and show you some of the rear details as well. But one more thing I'd like to point out are the touch sensors on the doors. You notice that when you walk up right away, which tells you that this vehicle does have the intelligent key, so you don't have to have the key to lock it and to unlock it. Something you can't see from the outside, but we know it has, is the power folding mirrors. And that'll help you save your mirrors in the city when you park on the street. Let's move around the back. So from the back, what you're going to notice is that you have, again, a nice follow through from the design from the front. It comes through that taillight, like I said, comes through the back here and through the chrome strip. You've got your Infiniti badging, which I guess you want to have if you're paying about $66,000 for this car, is tested. And there is a rear view camera that's mounted under the deck lid here. It's right about here, so that you can see from the navigation system and that screen mounted in the dash, everything in the back, and it's clear and it is good to look at when you're reversing. But they've also added the rear sonar here so that you can get the audio sense of how close you are to stuff when you're backing up. Now, something you might have noticed from the front is that these are not in the front, and that's because it does not have the front sonar sensors to help you with front pull-ins. It also does not have the 360-degree camera the way a lot of the Infinitis do, so you don't have a front bumper shot. So pulling into a tight garage or in somewhere where you do want to know where the nose is, that's going to be a little more difficult with the M35h. Now, of course, you've got your M35h badging back here as well to let people know when they're behind you, you are driving a hybrid. But to keep that sports sense about it, you have dual exhaust down here to really finish out the look of this sports luxury hybrid. And that's really what Infiniti's going for. Now, the last part that we have to cover is in the trunk. And of course, I can open it with the intelligent key and the button or from the key fob. But notice how it didn't pop up and raise. Something like the Charger we've looked at, both of them that we've had, when you pop the trunk or you hit the button on the back, it lifts up because it's counterbalanced. It's not even powered. This one doesn't do that, and it is still harder to close than the Charger because you've got to pull it down against the gas struts. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing is the trunk room. You probably can't see in there that well, but I have my orange mat here. And if I open that out, that's almost the depth of that trunk. I had a suitcase in here before, and I had to sit it sideways, not straight in and back, a 24-inch roller. So you definitely have less trunk capacity with the hybrid and no pass-through for skis or fold-down seats. So that's something you're going to want to keep in mind if you're planning to carry stuff on occasion. It's not as flexible as some of the other sedans that Infiniti might offer. But all in all, we think it's a pretty nice car all around. But let's check out the interior. All right, so from the inside, this vehicle really gives a nice impression, especially with this metallic white outside, this pearlescent, and then the cream colored inside. You have Japanese white ash wood inside. Everybody who's been in the car wants to know what kind of wood it is, and that's it. So now you know. It does have a nice blend of two-tone with black and the cream and then the wood and the satin silver accents. So you don't have a lot of chrome jumping out and biting you. You'll find that mostly on your window switch trim, and everything is really easy to find in the Infiniti. Most of your park assist and stuff is going to be there on the lower left of the driver, and that's where you'll find your heated wheel, your power rear sunshade, your traction control. Well, that's where you turn the traction control off. I won't say delete, but deactivate, your park assist deactivate, all of that. Also where you'll find your blind spot monitoring and all of that stuff to deactivate it. It's got steering wheel controls, you have navigation, satellite radio, which is XM in the Infiniti, so you get some of the extra stations you don't get with the Sirius, and memory seats. Only 2 spots, though, on the driver's side, which for a luxury car, a lot of times we see 3 for that odd third driver, or for people who have different heights of shoes, who want to be closer or farther away, depending on the shoes they're wearing. Yes, ladies, that is generally for you that I mentioned that, and it's really helpful if you have multiple settings, so you can have a driver 1, and then someone might have more than 1 setting, or if you have 3 family members. You don't have passenger side memory seats on this vehicle, so at $66,000 about as tested, this vehicle has a lot of good features, but it's also missing a couple things right off the bat from a first impression. But it is comfortable, it does have power lumbar, but it is not a multi-way power lumbar. And we found from our first impressions that our 6-foot-plus passengers, or our passengers that have longer legs in the front passenger seat, are really wanting to push that seat farther back than the electric track will let it go. So it may feel a little claustrophobic to your front right passengers. So those are your first impressions of the interior. We'll give you more details in the real video, the real review. But before we get there, let's check out under the hood. Okay, so under the hood, you're going to have your 3.5-liter V6 engine. This is a long-time Infiniti, well, Nissan motor, but Infiniti in this case, since it's their luxury brand. This motor is what they use with the hybrid, now that they've gone to the 3.7-liter in the base M sedan. So what you're going to have is 360 total system horsepower, 27 miles per gallon in town, 32 out on the highway, and 29 combined. And again, that 27 in the cities kind of gets people, they kind of go, huh, that's interesting, because most hybrids that you see, especially from Toyota and Lexus, will have a higher city miles per gallon than even the highway rating. But this is really sports oriented, and you're going to find that this vehicle is a lot more sporty than some of those other vehicles. So you do have the hybrid badging under the hood. You have the electric motor assist, but this vehicle is only rear-wheel drive. So in the snow, you're going to take a little bit of a hit, but it's right in line with the GS Lexus we've tested here on Real Auto Reports. That's the GS450h on our YouTube page. So all in all, how does it compare from a first impressions? We like the power, we like the 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, and the fuel economy's not bad for all that power. So you could tell that the rain has not been cooperating. So on this real first impressions driving perspective, you know, from the driver's seat here and hitting the road and really getting into this Infiniti M35h, you know, our first impressions are that the cockpit's well laid out. You can get it into gear easy. The EV mode in this is pretty cool. It's not very intrusive. It switches pretty flawlessly. That's the first thing we noticed. Although when you get off a line, or you get away from a light and you really floor this car and it thinks it should be in EV mode first, what I will tell you is that this vehicle does give you that little shake and whoa, we really need to go. Overall though, it steers really well. It does seem to have this light center feel, so we're gonna have to test that out some more, but it has this interesting eco pedal that is a little disconcerting from a first impression because it presses back on your foot, but it's something that we're going to check out more. and everything's pretty reachable, intelligible. It holds the road well. It's got good power, 0 to 60 in a little under 6 seconds, 360 total system horsepower. You know, from a first impressions perspective, it's a pretty neat vehicle, and it drives nicely. But that's not the final verdict. We'll have to do that in our real video, the real review. So let's talk about the wrap-up coming up next. So that's the real first impressions video edition on the 2013 Infiniti M35h. This vehicle has 360 total system horsepower coming from the 3.5-liter V6 engine. It is rear-wheel drive only, and it will get, well, about 29 miles per gallon combined, which is not too shabby for a good full-size luxury sedan. It's still got that sporty sense with the 7-speed automatic transmission, and if you turn the traction control off in the wet, you can really let the tail hang out. Heck, even in the dry, you can get the tires to chirp. And that's really something from a hybrid, and that's where Infiniti's trying to set themselves apart. This is really a sports luxury sedan, and it just so happens to get decent gas mileage with up to 32 miles per gallon out on the highway. You're 27 in the city, and this will also be pretty different from other hybrids because it doesn't get better city MPG than it does highway. We like what Infiniti has done with this vehicle. You have a few nits, but we'll cover those in the real video, the real review, coming up shortly here on Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew. We'll see you down the road.